You're listening to the SEO Mindset podcast. Now, we are not your typical how to do SEO podcast. No, we are not. With the help of our guests, we cover those all-important topics around career development, personal growth, and mental health for those working in the SEO industry. You got to be working on your own internal algorithm, like what we did there. So, if you like the sound of our podcast and you think this is a bit of me, shall we crack on with this week's episode?
When we asked our listeners what we should record next, there was one message that stopped us in our tracks. It was about somebody who wanted to shift their career because 2025 had just floored them. They barely had the energy to deal with 2026. And on the surface of it, it sounds like a career shifting question, a pivoting question. But it's not. It's also an emotional one. So today we're going to talk about what it really looks like to consider a career shift when you are exhausted, maybe disillusioned, and quietly thinking, I can't keep on doing this. It's not about pivoting fast, it's about pivoting towards alignment. Now, before we get into the episode, if you're enjoying what Sarah and I are doing, then there are various ways that you can really help us grow this podcast. And one of them is to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. You'll never miss an episode again. And it really helps us. Right, now let's listen to the episode. Hello, it's Tasman here.
And it's your pal, Sarah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Listener warning, Sarah's in a very silly mood. She's probably going to be giggling a lot. But it's okay. It's very sweet. Don't stop listening. Stay with me. Stay with us. Because I say that because today's episode, Sarah, is based on a question that one of our listeners has asked. And it's this, and it's a bit, it hurt my heart when they said this.
Okay.
I'm thinking of shifting my career path. I feel like 2025 pounded me to the ground and I barely managed to stand up again to face 2026.
That gets you in the feels because hearing someone say that is upsetting, but it's so relatable as well. I imagine lots of people are feeling, crikey, I barely survived 2025. Yeah.
So when I heard that, and when it like I said, I felt it. Then when you look at the sentence again, there's two parts. I'm thinking of shifting my career, so that one part, and then the other part is how last year had impacted them. So there's the career shifting and the tough time. And although some people might look at that sentence and say, oh yeah, so you're going to talk about pivoting careers, very practical answer to that. I also want to look at the emotional side of it,
Okay.
because it is an emotional journey. They are not pivoting their career because they think, I've learned everything I could learn here. It's time to move on. I'm going to miss this, but it's all about growth. It's not that sentiment, is it? It's like I'm finished and I need to pivot my career. So, and it's about discussing how to balance the two, the emotional and the practical. So I thought we could start off with the emotional side, and then after the break, I'll share some practical tips on how you can take those next steps, and think about how to pivot to your career, what to pivot it to. Yeah, sound good?
Imagine if I said no. What's option B? No.
I told you she was in a funny mood.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense because I think it's really sensible to start with emotions because, like, we can't not address emotions before going practical. Because,
Yeah.
yes, I understand that for some people, we need to offer practical tips and advice of what you do when you want to pivot careers, but we can't not start with like looking into the emotional side. So I'm with you. I'm roll on part one. Let's get
So,
emotional.
part one, it's all about their well-being, and so often people come to me, and I've had discovery calls where the individual is crying because they're so burnt out, or that my quickest sales call was with somebody that had wasn't even part of my circle. They were so burnt out. Spoke to someone who said, "Ring Tasmin or get in touch with Tasmin." Next day, they're on the call with me, and I'm just doing the listening, and they said, "Just sign me up." So it's like a 5 minute sales call because they were so burnt out. And when they get to that point, or they are thinking about shifting from one career to another because they're part of a toxic environment or whatever, the first thing I get them to do is to look after themselves. And let's face it, there are so many challenges in the workplace right now, so many redundancies, and I've been through redundancy. It's horrible. And to look for another job in that state, it's not nice because you're starting with exhaustion and grief, or this quiet noise in your head saying, I can't do this anymore. But at the same time, you have to look for another job. And if it's in redundancies and you're still there, with my case, they were shifting a lot of work offshore. So you had to be part of that environment when everyone's going, "Oh yeah, isn't this exciting new way of working?" So it was awful. Um, but so I would say, ask yourself, what is it that you want? Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't knowing what you want; it's admitting that you'd stayed there too long anyway and it had already cost you too much. So this is more
True.
relevant. Yeah. If you're in a toxic environment and you just battle it through, you think, "Oh, it'll get better. And then suddenly you realize it's not getting better. So now not only is your well-being, has it been impacted, you've already got yourself into a low energy state. You also then have to look for another job whilst thinking, "I should have done this a year ago."
So actually, probably what's going on is your emotions and well-being is already starting to take a bit of a battering before you even know, really.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's not until you're at like breaking point that we sort of realize. But yeah, I think that's a key thing that you just said about how much has it costed you already. Like
yeah,
those times where there was a red flag, those times where there was that gut feeling. And we can all relate to this. We can all relate to where, whether it is a professional relationship or if it's a personal relationship or whatever it is, we've all stayed in something because we think we owe it to that person or we think it's going to get better.
yeah,
And it's already costing you.
yeah. So you know that I'm a big fan of journaling. When you're in that state, um, even if you are in a toxic environment and are staying there, please journal every day. One of our previous episodes was talking about big data sets. Start building your own data set about you, and journaling is a really good way of doing it. Now, if you're in a workplace and you think, "I don't know, should I stay? Should I not? Is it okay?" Is that really a red flag? If you write about it every day and then look back at a month's worth of data and see, actually, it wasn't a one off, actually, um, that situation wasn't okay.
Something that's come into my brain just quickly as well is
Mhm.
actually getting it out of your brain and journaling
Yeah.
it enables you to sort of ask the question, like, if a friend or your partner or your family member came to you with this going on, what would you recommend? Would you say that they need to go elsewhere? Because sometimes we're very good at giving other people advice,
Yeah.
but we can't take it on ourselves, can we? So I think the journaling gives you that opportunity to actually see it and be like, oh, hang on, if someone presented this to me, what would I be saying?
Yeah. But for the individual who has left that place or has been made redundant or whatever, recognize your emotions. Journal about it, write it down. Don't don't make them invalid. If you're feeling battered, if you're feeling grief, if you're feeling betrayal, whatever, just write it down. The more you can get those emotions onto paper, the better it is for you, because then you can start making peace with it. So tip number one would be recognize those emotions. The next part is now start steadying yourself. So normalize that feeling. If you've been made redundant or whatever, just recognize that it's not going to feel good. It's not about being angry and exhausted. It's about now saying, I'm going to give myself permission to pause.
Okay.
Don't try and take that next step when you're feeling all of that stuff. Get steady. I'm going to give myself permission to pause. I'm going to give myself to look after my health, do the basics, sleep, eat well, keep hydrated, go on walks, build up your core energy, because you're about to go on another journey, aren't you?
I've got a fun analogy of being stable. Like, as soon as you said that,
I'm dreading this. The mood
no,
you're in.
I, I'm picturing like jelly on a plate, and like,
Okay.
if you've got jelly on a plate and you're slightly wobbling it, it's not going to stay still at all, because the structure of that jelly, it's going to be wobbling all over the place. So if you're trying to move and you're moving this plate of jelly, it's going to go everywhere. However, if you can be calm, like, you know, that jelly is vulnerable, it's in that vulnerable state, but if you can breathe, be calm and walk with purpose and with a breath, that jelly isn't going to be moving as much. You can't stop
Yeah.
jelly from moving, but it's not going to be moving as much. Don't you think that's a good analogy?
Love it. Love it. Food analogy. I always love a food analogy.
I've not had jelly in a while, but anyway, continue.
No. But it's about getting physically stable, getting
Yes.
steady, emotionally steady. Do the basics. Just look after yourself. The number of times people have said to me, "Oh, I'm in this place, and I'm really burnt out." And when I ask them, "What is it that you're doing?" "Oh, I'm just applying for loads of jobs, and I spend 18 hours a day applying for jobs." Go out, like just go for a walk, get out of
And
the house.
another thing as well is they're probably skipping meals. They're
Yes, they were
probably like getting up at the
not
crack of
sleeping
dawn,
well.
not
Yeah,
sleeping well. Also, like exercise or doing anything like that. Exercise can be anything like getting outside, walking around, or doing a workout. Whatever your exercise is, that's often the first thing to go as well when you're feeling
yeah,
stressed.
yeah.
It's
So
not
if you
good.
think about your life as a whole, you've got your work and you've got your relationships and you've got your health and you've got all of the components of your life. And this one component, your work, there's a big hole in it now, whether you've left the job or you're thinking about leaving the job. Now, to fix that one part, you then end up deteriorating the other parts. Where's the sense in that?
It's like a continuous whack-a-mole.
I'm lost now.
You know, with
What
the
does that mean?
whack-a-mole. Have you never been to a fun fair and you got the
I've
things
been
that are
to a
like,
fun fair.
Yeah. So the things that are popping up, and you got a hammer, and you got to like bop it down, and they're
We've never
continuously
played
popping
this.
up. No.
No, no. Maybe we
Okay.
should go one day.
Maybe we should, and then relate
Okay.
it to our mental health. But like, yeah, like it's going to be continuous whack-a-mole. Like, because if holes or moles are keeping appearing. But anyway, continue.
And the last thing I'll talk about, with with the steadying part, look at your finances. Now, this is something where it's
Oh,
too easy to put your head in the sand and think, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening. Or thinking the worst, saying, oh my God, I've got to get a job, I've got to get a job, I've got to get a job now. Look at what your finances are looking like. Now, I am not a financial advisor, but ask yourself, how much money do I need to survive on? So we've talked about this in a previous episode. We're going to dig it up, where we said, analyze your transactions for the year. Everyone should do that, and then categorize them. These are my fundamental costs, so your rent and your mortgage and your petrol and your food and whatever you classify as fundamental. Here are my fun costs, so that might be a holiday. Now, some people might put holiday in fundamental. That's your choice how you categorize them. And then the third F is your future, so what you've saved for your pension or saving pot, or some people may even put charity money in their future costs. So have an awareness of what your costs are, have an awareness of how much savings you have. How long is that going to last you? You and your partner, if you're with somebody, do this exercise together. You may realize that, oh, actually, we're okay. That bucket that we had for a rainy day, now's our rainy day. So I can leave this job and give myself, I don't know, 6 months to look for another one. Or I'll stay in this job, but knowing that there is a buffer for me, or maybe there isn't a buffer for you. Whatever it is, your financial situation will feel worse if you don't know what it is.
so something. Well, I'm feeling a bit smug right now. But when I first went freelance, I made sure that I built up a buffer in my money pot. So something that I remember was being told, like, you need to sort of safeguard yourself for things that are outside of your control, that you can't, like, you lose a client or something doesn't go wrong or you have this expense. So having a buffer, working out your finances are going to help with the stress. And like, yes, lots of us just want to be like, oh no, I don't want to look, I'm just gonna like put my head under the sand. That's the worst thing that you can do, because that's just going to add to the anxiety. Whereas I'm glad that I have a hold on my finances, because if I was to lose a client tomorrow or something went wrong, I know that I've got a buffer, and I know, like, that's one less stress that is going to be causing me sleepless nights.
And if anyone listening who thinks I'm sounding a bit preachy, I'm preaching to myself, because I'm the one who sticks my head in the sand. She's doing some work
It's
with money
easy.
mindset with a coach. Yeah. Sorry?
It's easy. It's easy to
Yeah.
do. Like, when
Yeah.
there's something that we don't really want to look at or we're worried about, like, of course you don't want to look at it and you just want to push it to the side. But
Yeah.
it's the easy thing to do, but the worst thing to do.
Yeah. So, that brings me to the end of things that I think will help them steady themselves. And then after the break, we'll talk about how they can move forward. Do you have
So,
anything that you want to add to it?
I suppose the only thing that I would add to it is, don't be afraid to talk to others.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing that I've learned, is sometimes when you're going through all of this stuff, especially if you're quite inward and you're not very good at like opening up and sharing. But it will make you feel so much better just starting to opening up and talking to someone else. And that could be a professional. I'm a big supporter of counselling, therapy. Did me the world of good. I'm not ashamed. Like, I'll say, yes, I've had therapy, and I would recommend it. I do know that like it's not affordable and accessible for everyone, so it's just getting used to like finding safe people or safe spaces where you can meet people and talk to people and open up, whether that is your loved one, whether that is a friend, whether that's a community. So me and Tasman are part of the Women in Tech SEO community. Find communities where you can start meeting and having conversations with people. You might find that you want to create a community yourself, like maybe you want to find people locally or nearby, but like, don't be afraid to open up and talk to people, because you're not failing by opening up and talking to someone. You're like, every time that I've opened up to someone about something, they've related. They've had something that they can give back to me. And sometimes it's like, I'm not the only one. And sometimes just knowing that you're not the only one, helps you have that time to be like, okay, it's not just me. And
And if you are going through any of these types of scenarios, it isn't just you. And if you're feeling rubbish about it, you're not alone. So if you want to cry, goodness me, the day that I found out I was being made redundant, most of the day I cried. So it's horrible.
It's healthy to cry as well, because if you're not letting out your emotions and you're not dealing with it, believe you me, your body will tell you in other ways. So you need to be able to like journal, let it out, cry, scream into a pillow if you need to. Get a pillow, scream into it, go on top of a mountain. Like boxing really helps me. I love doing boxing with my PT, like, because sometimes she'll be like, oh, it's like you had a bit of a tricky day today, Sarah, and I'm like, yes I have, like, and I'm punching away. But yeah, like, joking but not joking, because it's really serious that you got to look after yourself, because if you don't look after your emotions, if you don't look after your body, if you push those feelings deep down, they'll just come up in other ways.
Now, listeners, there are calmer ways to let out your emotions. Bread making is one of them. I speak from experience. Oh, I'm going to go make a batch of flatbreads. Everyone knows, leave her alone.
So then you get your flapjack and you start punching in the flap. No, I'm joking.
Anyway, after the break, we're going to go practical mode. And I'm going to give lots of tips of, if you are searching for that new role, things that you can do.
Sounds good. Join us for part 2. It's Sarah, just popping on quickly. I promise quickly to let you know how you can support us. For the same price as a Starbucks, Costa, or your favourite local coffee shop coffee, you can give us a one-off tip or monthly donation. If you fancy doing that, simply follow the link in the show notes. You can also sign up to our newsletter. It's a fabulous and really helpful resource that Tasman is in charge of. Sign up and stay up to date with the latest from the podcast and get more advice and tips straight into your inbox. Right, that's me done, I promise. Just go to the show notes and find everything there.
Hi, Tasman here. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Be more visible, earn more, but also take care of your well-being and have work-life harmony? Well, I can help you because I'm offering you a free 30-minute consultancy call. Together we can go through where you want to be and how to get there. Simply click on the link in the show notes, fill in a form, and I'll get back to you. So, Sarah, we're back from the break and we've been talking about what you can do if you are looking to pivot your career, but you're not in a great emotional state, that might be because toxic relationship, toxic workplace, wrong
Yes.
podcast episode, or being made redundant, or whatever the situation is. And we talked about how to manage those emotions and get steady. Now I want to talk about, let's explore. You're going to look for a new role. What you don't want to do is just jump in and just take the first thing. Obviously, if you need to, and I'm not saying that that isn't the truth for many people, me included in some situations in life. But if you have the time to explore, these are things that you can do. One of the things is, and I've been doing this with a client recently, is I asked her to draw up a wheel of work. Now, we're used to hearing about a wheel of life where you have a circle and you divide it up into career and relationships and fun, blah, blah, blah. She was saying, I hate my job, hate my job. I said, okay, what do you hate about your job? And then, so she did this wheel of work and we divided it into what's the package? How many hours are you working? What's the team like? What's the relationship with your manager like? What's the pace of work? How much autonomy do you have? What's the mental load? And she had 8 segments. And when she went through it, she came back and she said, actually, I don't hate my job. I just don't like the relationship with my manager. Now, some would argue that that's enough for someone to leave, but she said, do you know what? I get paid really well. I love the work that I do. I enjoy working with the team. I feel like I'm having an impact. Nobody's micromanaging me. By and large, it's good, but it's the thing with my manager is I want him to recognize the work that I do, and he's not recognizing it in the way that I feel that would I'd feel validated. So then that's a different conversation. We explored that. But if you're saying I hate my job, it's a really good exercise to figure out what is missing in this job so you make sure that you find it in the next.
And sometimes, because that's a pretty bold statement to say, I hate my job, end of. So I love the idea of like doing the work wheel and spending time picking out the different elements, because that way you're going to find what it is that's annoying you. And actually, like the whole I hate my job changes then, and your mindset changes to actually it's just this one person and how you
Yeah,
deal with that. So that's a
yeah.
great bit of advice there.
And she went from thinking, am I going to leave, to actually, I'm not going to leave. And I've done this exercise with a few people, and they've then, with another example was they decided, actually, I'm going to stay, and that fulfillment element that I'm searching for, I'll just go and find it somewhere else because actually everything else about this job is fine. So why would I leave it? I'm okay here. So that's one thing. Another thing is think about what skills you have and the ones that you want to build. Because what this does is it reminds you you're not starting from nothing. You've got skills, you've learned things, there's other things that you want to learn. And this becomes part of your future job requirements that I love working with big sets of data and I want to improve those skills. Therefore, this is what I'm going to look for in my next job. And with all of that, just start gently exploring what is it that you want from a job, not I have to go and look for this job title. Start being curious. Which parts of that wheel are more important to you? Because maybe you scored really low on one part, but actually it's not that important and you're not that fussed. So being curious about what you want is so important. And instead of thinking, what job do I want or what career do I want, ask yourself, what sort of life do you want? And that's where I
Yes,
started off with, what sort of life do I want?
that's a way better question. What life do I want as opposed to what work do we want? Because I think we forget that we are more than our work. We are more than our job title. We are more than the brand that we work for. We are more than the clients that we work for. And actually changing that mindset to what is the life that I want, you can then, it then helps you carve out your career and how, what money, what experience, how that looks to support. Because you only have one life, and why not try and carve a life that you really want? Why can't you do that? You've only got one. Like, yes, it might sound a bit idealistic because you're probably thinking, well, you've got bills to pay, got this like responsibilities and stuff, but you can have both. Like, but just put yourself first. Like, it's not, don't focus on the career job, because also if you focus on that, you don't know what you don't know, and you'd end up shoehorning you into a career or a job that's probably not aligned. Whereas if you then sort of like start researching the life and the different ways that you can have that life, things will come up that you probably weren't even thinking about when you were just thinking about career.
It's often when we say, I hate my job, it's because it's not allowing us to live the way we want to live. So it's really important that you know what that is. And like the previous example, where that individual felt that that job wasn't fulfilling enough, when they looked at, okay, what sort of life do I want? And then realize that they can get that fulfillment elsewhere.
Yeah.
And if you're finding that heavy or difficult, instead of asking, what job do I want to do? Ask yourself, how do you want to feel in that day? So this is
Yes.
like, rather than, some people want to be really supported and a manager who is really connected with what they're doing. Some people want to be left alone. Some people want to work with big teams. Some people want to work quietly. How do you want to feel? So this is all about exploring. It's not a definitive list, but if you start with that, do the wheel of work, do your skills list, ask yourself, what sort of life do I want to live? And that'll all start giving you clues on what sort of role that you want to go for next.
And I suppose as well, like, because there's always going to be elements of a job that you're not going to enjoy doing. Like, by and large, I love my job. Of when I decided to go freelance and doing the work and projects and the clients that I get to work with, fabulous, great, I love it. There are still tricky times. There are still tasks that I have to do that I don't really like. And it's unrealistic to think you have to love all of your job to be fulfilled. And what I'm getting at here is, if you go back to how do you want to feel, or what life do I want? How do I get fulfillment? How do I feel proud of myself? Then, like, you can then sort of decide what your non-negotiables are. Like, okay, this is how I want to feel. This is the life that I want. This is how I'm going to feel proud. And actually, if I have this, I can come to terms with the fact that I have to do this one element that I don't really like.
So Sarah, we've talked about how to manage our emotions. We've gone on to, let's explore with what we want the new role to look like. Now you're ready. Say you're ready now to move forward. You're ready to do that job search. You're feeling enthusiastic and motivated and all of that good stuff. What I would say is, please, please, please don't get yourself into a place where you are stressed. Stress is not your friend when you're job searching. So be mindful of that. Don't do what we said earlier. look for jobs for 18 hours of the day without eating and sleeping and talking to anyone, and it's not a good place. So start off by defining your timelines. Say, you know what, I'm going to give myself 3 months to look for this job, or 6 months to look for this job, all the time looking after your bare basics, which is your sleep and so on and so forth. The other thing I'd like to say is the importance of consistency versus hustling your way through. So set yourself a target. I'm going to apply for one job a week rather than just plowing through it. Because if you apply for one job a week and do it well, and then the next week apply for another and another, you're going to be able to give that process more quality rather than lots and lots of jobs. And the last point I want to make, and obviously we'll talk through other things that aren't on this list, is use your network. You probably know lots and lots of people. Start talking to them. Start exploring what's around. LinkedIn, as you said, your favorite social media platform at the minute. Yeah. Keep a record of the jobs that you've applied for, because there's a likelihood that the things that you wrote in one, you're going to write in another. What tips can you think of, Sarah?
Like so remind me of the ones that you've just said.
So using your network,
Using your network.
Don't get into stress.
Don't get into
Set yourself
stress.
some timeline.
Yeah.
Don't hustle your way through it. Maybe it's just one job a week.
Again, have conversations. So if there is a job that's tickling your fancy or a brand that's tickling your fancy, talk to people that have that role, or talk to people that work for that brand and see, like, have conversations with people. Yeah, because then that way you can sort of get an idea, or you can get an inkling of what it's like as that job, or what it's like for that brand. And does that align with your values? Does it align with your ethics? Does it align on, you've planned out how you want to live your life, or what elements you want in your life? Does it help you with that? I suppose asking yourself why as well. So if you see a job that you want to apply for, ask yourself, why are you applying for it? Ask yourself, why does this look good? Why do I think I want to go for this? Because again, having some self-awareness, and it goes back to your point about not just applying for anything and everything, taking time on that once a week, for example, as part of that process, make sure that you're actually going after jobs that you want to go after, sort of thing. So always ask yourself why. Like, why am I going for this? Why do I think I'll be a good fit? Am I just going for this because it's what I think I want, or is it because what other people are saying? So yeah, that's what those are my nuggets.
As you were saying that, the thing that popped into my mind was, don't feel like you've got to tick off every requirement before you apply.
So I'm gonna see if I could dig out this data and link to it in the show notes, but there is a thing between males and females on that.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. So if females feel like they don't tick every box, they won't go for something because they've got this high expectation. Whereas, and this is like generally, like, there is data that suggests this, but like, men aren't wired the same way, and even if they're not as qualified or got the skills or expertise, it doesn't stop them, and they still go for it, sort of thing. And I find that fascinating, of like how your brain works. So to our lady listeners, those that identify as female, like, this very much applies to you. You don't have to tick all those boxes, because as an employer is not expecting everything. They're gonna, because there's going to be gaps, or people have got their own experience, people have got their own knowledge, or their own experience, or what they've come from. So it's sort of highlighting, these are my strengths and these are my experiences, and it's what I can bring to the team, and everyone's going to be different. But that's a really good reminder.
And if you have decided to pivot your career and pivot it big time, don't forget about your transferable skills, and don't just look at the skills and work experience that you have through paid work. Remember all of that volunteering that you've done, all of the outside your paid work. You've probably got lots of skills that are highly transferable. If you've had a child, that has taught you so much.
I just thought of something else as well, because like me, there's going to be people who are impatient. So if you're stepping into something that is new or something that is unfamiliar, like, give yourself the time to like get to know that new job that you're in. Hey, if you're working for a new company or a new brand, there's lots of things that you've got to get familiar with, like processes, like how it works, how customer works, how, like, everything. So like, a lot of us are going to be impatient of like, I should be good at this now, I should be getting results, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Take a breath. It's part of the process.
Absolutely. So that's me wrapped up. I hope the individual is listening to this. I hope this has helped them. And if anybody is out there in this situation, I hope it helps you too.
I think, do you know what? This has helped me. This episode and this conversation, it's been a little therapy session for me. So I'm sure it's the same for everyone else. Reminder to our audience, episodes go out every single Thursday, and please do subscribe for free, because then you'll get notified whenever there is a new one. What can we tease that's coming up, Tasmin?
Well, I'm in conversation with 3 people about some very interesting topics. So one is about leadership and self-leadership and emerging leaders. So that's with somebody who does leadership training. So I'm really looking forward to that. Another one is about work-life balance and how this particular individual manages that. And the third one is about the role of luck. Now, I'm having a chat with them in a few days' time to understand what exactly they would like to talk about. But they said, I find that I don't know any more than that. It just intrigued me, but yes.
Those are some cracking conversations that you've had. For me, I'm in talks with a guest about talking about the nervous system. So that one's going to be interesting, because like, we're going to be talking about like demands that we have on ourselves nowadays, and how that impacts the nervous system, how the nervous system impacts us, and all of that lovely stuff. So yes, that's what I've got coming up. So lots of stuff to look forward to. Very intrigued by this luck conversation. Very intriguing.
Yeah, well, so if you have not subscribed, I would suggest you do that, because you certainly don't want to miss out on the luck one. I mean, you don't miss out on any of them, but the luck.
And we have talked about money, haven't we? So we can link to the episode that we talked about money in the show notes as well, can't we?
Absolutely. And if all things going all things going well, I'll be linking in the show notes some training to help you explore what your new role and your new life looks like.
Go and check that out. So again, we tell you every time, The show notes, and I'm going to say something that Tasman says all the time, treasure trove. Show notes is a treasure trove. Go in there, my hearties. Pirates. Go and explore.
Tasman's one eye covered. A patch.
Why are pirates pirates, Tasman?
I don't know.
Because they are.
Oh gosh. On that note, everyone,
I
it's
kind
time
of
to
went.
say goodbye.
I did go sensible for
I'm
a
trying
lot of
I'm
that.
trying to end this, listeners. She's just not letting.
Let it go. Goodbye.
Take care.